Welcome to this thrifting episode. My name is Dani Walker. I'm so excited to share so much with you in this episode. If you like sustainable fashion, thrifting, or upcycling, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notifications bell. I'd greatly appreciate that. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, you can do so by hitting that super thanks button, sharing the episode with a friend, or shopping in the merch store. I'm going to share with you how I have found great success thrifting, from the stores that I look for to the types of pieces that you can expect to find at those specific thrift stores. So let's get into that. First thing I'll mention is travel. If you are traveling, do not forget to look at thrift stores. I have found some of the coolest pieces I've thrifted in Florida, New York, California, Paris, just like anywhere that I've traveled to. And it's so easy to find them. All you have to do, if you have Google Maps or really any kind of maps in your phone, is search thrift stores and you'll find all the ones around you. One thrift store that I found while I was living in New York was Beacon's Closet, and I really liked that one because they have a mixture of vintage and then more current styles. And I will say that not every thrift store has that, so if that's something that you're looking for, and if you're ever in the city, go check them out. One of the most popular thrift stores, of course, is going to be Goodwill and the Salvation Army. So those ones are always tried and true. I will say though that some Goodwill locations are starting to overprice a lot of their items. Please do not buy overpriced items. Even though it's at a thrift store, it does not always mean, unfortunately, nowadays that it's deeply discounted. So if you ever feel like you're unsure about a price, then you can look up that item online or look up that item on Poshmark to check the resale value of it or the resale value of something similar. One of my personal favorite thrift stores is Savers. I've had so much success there. Actually, I got this dress there. This is a beautiful Bordeaux dress. I didn't even have to alter this one. This wasn't my size. It just really worked out. Sometimes that happens. Go to Savers though, because they have such a wide selection. Now for them, I feel like they also have a good mixture of like vintage, high-end designer. You can really find some great deals too with their bags. They have a lot of designer handbags. And then of course, they have a lot of current outfits that you'll find that like this, like Bordeaux, right? So they have such great selection. But the one thing I would say about really any of your thrift stores is try to thrift in higher end neighborhoods whenever you can. And that's just because the people that live in those neighborhoods are the ones donating those items. So they're more likely to have designer pieces by nature of the area that you're in. So I feel like that has helped me to have a lot of success with thrifting too. Here are some of the pieces that I've thrifted from Savers, and if you want to see all the outfits that I thrifted with lots of details and links, and if you want to know the designers and where I got them, then please just follow me on Instagram at Dani Walker. I love sharing my outfits there, and I even do little Instagram reels from time to time, and I show you how I style the outfits and put everything together. Just don't forget all the really unique thrift stores as well. When I was in Paris, I found this one thrift store called Kilo, I believe, and they actually priced things by weighing them. I've never experienced that before at a thrift store, but I thought it was really fun. It was cool. And then don't forget your mom and pop thrift stores. The way that I usually find those ones is by using Google Maps, because that's really where they're gonna pop up. Because usually the mom and pop thrift stores, they're in an old strip mall. That's what I've noticed. Or they're in a location that's just like not easily seen driving down most main roads. So really look for them there, because you can find some really great gems there. I remember I bought this leather pair of heeled mules there before. I still have them. I wear them every single summer, and they cost me a few dollars. I was like, this is incredible. The thing about the mom and pops though, I will say, is that they don't have as high of a standard for quality for most of their items. Unfortunately, they're not going through a lot of checks. They're just kind of like, here's what we have, here's what it is. You're gonna find a lot of damaged goods there, a lot of things that aren't gonna be really wearable or very usable unless you're like me and you can upcycle something or you're willing to take it to get repaired. So just be really careful, not only there, but really any thrift store. I always like to check, especially the more expensive pieces that I'm buying, for any damage. Some things can be repaired. There's stuff I find with little like snags and rips or discolorations, and I can take care of that. But if that's not something you feel confident doing, then don't waste the money buying the pieces that you're not actually going to repair. Another really great place to shop is antique and vintage stores. And I know that that's not something that a lot of people would think of when it comes to thrifting your clothes, but a lot of antique or vintage stores, they have a mixture of things. So maybe they're selling furniture, maybe they're selling old hardware tools or dishes or things like that. But a lot of these antique stores, they also have small sections of clothing. Now, you're not gonna get a lot of clothing there, but usually you're gonna find some very, very unique vintage pieces. I feel like some of my coolest vintage pieces that I have come from antique stores. Also at vintage stores, I have found some incredible costume jewelry. I absolutely love it. There's literally no point anymore of me purchasing any fast fashion jewelry because there's just so much of it at vintage stores. Now, if you're very focused on current trends or you want designer pieces, of course you can thrift those things. Do not forget about websites and apps like The RealReal, Poshmark, and Mercari. These apps and websites are amazing because they can help you to find a very specific piece that you're looking for. Even if the piece was already listed on their site and it sold, you can sign up for notifications to find out whenever somebody else lists that same piece that you're looking for. Obviously, the advantage of using the app or online is that you're able to filter things, which makes it so much easier to find exactly what you're looking for. The other benefit is that they typically offer online payment plans like Afterpay, which is amazing if you want something high-end and designer. You can break up that payment without putting it on a credit card. There's usually low interest or no interest options for this. Other online thrift stores that I want to mention that aren't quite as high-end, although yes, you can find designer pieces on there, but they're not catering to designer pieces, is ThredUp. That's one of my absolute favorites. Oh my gosh, I go crazy on ThredUp. And they also have a ton of sales all the time. You always can tack on these extra discounts. They also offer reward points. There's another website that I just found out about, and that is Silk Roll, and that's a much more new online thrift store. They do not have as much inventory yet as ThredUp, but I think that's because they're new. Then we have Depop, and Depop is cool. I feel like it's way more trendy, and you're gonna find more of like your Y2K and your Gen Z pieces there. And I honestly think that some of the pieces there are quite a bit overpriced. You could definitely find them on ThredUp. So it's like if you find something you like on Depop, go check ThredUp just in case. But regardless of that, they're great. Now, if you're trying to thrift for a more formal event or a cocktail event, 100% go check out Queenly. Queenly is going to have the widest selection of evening gowns and cocktail type dresses. Yes, sites like ThredUp and The RealReal have these pieces as well, but you're not gonna get as much of a selection. Usually there's only a very small amount of evening gowns on those sites, but Queenly is specifically dedicated for those formal events. So check them out. I actually know the owner, she's so sweet. Female-owned business, like so cool. Absolutely love her, and I've shopped there and I've sold pieces there as well. Now, other really cool options for thrifting are consignment stores, and consignment stores is essentially when you take the pieces that you want to sell to the store, they sell it on your behalf if they can. If they can't sell the piece, typically they'll return that to you. Sometimes they'll allow you to make the piece a donation if you just don't want it. But the cool thing about consignment is that you can make money off of the pieces that you want to thrift. Sometimes you can take the money, or you can also just take a store credit. That's usually an option, and then you can shop and use that store credit there. Now, stores that operate in a very similar way, they don't sell on your behalf, but they do purchase clothing, would be Buffalo Exchange and Uptown Cheapskate. So you can take in your gently used clothing, and they have what they call our buyers there at the store, and the buyers will sift through those pieces and then they'll make an offer to you. Now, you're not gonna make a lot of money at places like Buffalo Exchange or Uptown Cheapskate, because they have to make a profit, they're already selling your pieces for a very discounted rate. So you're gonna get even less than that. They're only gonna give you a small percentage of that sale. But if you're just like, hey, I just wanna sell a couple things, I just want to get something for them instead of simply donating them, then those would be great options for you. And like I said, you can take the cash or you can use the store credit and then go shopping for other things that you want. So I think that that's a really cool option. I've done that many times in the past. I've sold to both Uptown Cheapskate and to Buffalo Exchange. Now, the last thing I want to mention in regards to thrifting and finding really cool pieces is estate sales. I love estate sales, and what's crazy is that if you live in a highly populated area, that there's probably an estate sale every weekend, and there's probably several. So the way that I've found them, and I've done this when I've traveled as well, is you just look up estate sales and then put in the city. And then a lot of times there are websites dedicated to sharing about these estate sales. And the cool thing is they'll even take photos of the actual estate sale to give you an idea of what things are there so you can decide if you want to go or not. I have found some really, really cool pieces there. I have found designer handbags, and then, I have these beautiful cashmere sweaters that I got from an estate sale. And then you just take them to the dry cleaners and you're good to go. So I love estate sales. I think they're really cool. They're very fun. But those are the places that I typically thrift my pieces. That's where I have had a lot of success. So if you want to hear any more about thrifting, if you want to see any more upcycling episodes, you can request those episodes in the comments below. I greatly appreciate that. I love to hear from you so that I can bring you what you want to see on the channel. So thank you for tuning into this one. Please check out these other thrifting episodes as well. And I hope to see you very soon.